So right now it is the weekend before the 4th of July. So my wife's family is going to come over on the 4th of July. We're going to be having a cookout. We're going to do some fishing. We're going to go down to the shooting range and have some fun. We're going to be setting off fireworks. We're just going to be doing a lot of stuff 4th of July weekend, having a lot of fun. But right now we're just trying to get everything kind of ready for the 4th of July. So my wife's been doing a lot of mowing, trying to clean the place up. I actually have, I've actually weed-eated around the pond, and I've almost got it done. I weed-eated some of the dam, but I don't have all the dam done. So I still have some more weed eating that I still need to do on the pond and around the house, but we're just trying to get everything kind of cleaned up and ready for people to come over. So today I'm up here on the porch and I'm messing with all our fishing rods. So I was trying to get all the fishing rods, I was trying to get all of them ready. There's some of these that I'm going to have to restring, but I'm just trying to get hooks and different things back on ones that have broke and get everything kind of all straightened out and working good. So as I'm up here messing with these fishing poles, I'm looking out here on the pond, and out here on the pond there is a huge huge group of bluegill. They're all spawning right now. The bluegill are in spawn. To be honest with you, I think it's a little late. This may be a second spawn, but I can actually see the bluegill from up here. It's pretty amazing. You can see they're in a really large group, and it's a pretty neat little thing on how these bluegill spawn. So let's go down there and check it out. So as we walk up here where there's all these bluegill spawning that I can see from the house, they may get a little bit farther from the shore because they can actually see me. It's kind of weird. They'll move a few feet back when they see me kind of coming in here. But one thing you will notice is you will see all these craters, and those craters are formed by the bluegill, and that's what they spawn in. This is their spawning bed. So what they do is they basically will lay eggs in these craters. The females will, and then the males will fertilize them, and then they basically kind of hang out and they guard these spawning beds. And so basically right now the bluegill, since they're guarding these, they don't want anything to get near their eggs. They pretty much bite at anything. So you can pretty much throw anything out here and catch bluegill right now. So this is like prime time to fish for bluegill. Now this area is the most highly concentrated because it's all sand. So if you look over here, basically from this post, see this over here, that right there was an old diving board, where this is a swimming area, and that was a diving board, and this began the beach area, this post, and it all the way goes over next to like these reeds over here. They're those cattails. This is all sand. That was all a beach area, and it's really easy for these bluegill to be able to make their spawning beds. But if you walk around the pond, you will find these craters. You will find them all around the pond. So they're spawning all around the pond. It's just that this is probably where you see the most bluegill in this area. You know, so I'm filming here with my phone. I don't know how well this is actually capturing these fish, but like right out here, there is actually a really good sized group right in that area. And you know, there's probably 30 or 40 fish just right in that area. And but they're all the way through here. There's another good group right somewhere in here, and there's just a ton of bluegill. So many that I can see them from the porch. I mean, right now the water is clear enough that I can see this sand, so it has that nice white background, and then you can see those black, you know, shadows of those fish swimming over it, and you can see it all the way up there on the porch. And then early this morning when I got up, you could see them swirling the water as they were making them craters. That's pretty, when you see that water swirling, that's another telltale sign that the bluegill are making their spawning beds. So I could catch bluegill real easy right now. I'm going to try to let them go and spawn. I've been trying to do that for a little while. So when we bought this property, this pond had either got killed off, or otters had like pretty much, river otters had pretty much ate everything out of this pond. But anyway, at one point in time there was like no fish in this pond. So the neighbor ended up stocking it with bass. Well, bass are the top of the food chain, so they didn't have anything else really to eat but themselves, I guess. So when we bought this property, this pond was completely filled full of bass. You might see in some of my other videos, I might have mentioned that we have a lot of bass. Well, normally most of our bass are like 6 inches long. There was an overpopulation of bass. And so we've been trying to equal out the population. We have been kind of fishing the bass out of here and trying to get them out, get their population down, and trying to let the bluegill's population rise. And so far, when I look at these spawning beds, it's actually looking like things are starting to kind of balance out finally. We're finally getting a ton of bluegill, you know, starting to have out here on the pond. And when we go fishing, we're catching more and more bluegill and less bass, or less of the smaller bass. So I think the pond is finally starting to even out. I did end up putting some catfish in here as well a few years ago. So instead of fishing for bluegill today, I decided I'd try to fish for some catfish. So I put some bank poles out here along the pond, and I was trying to catch some catfish today. This bank pole right now actually have got something on it. If you look at it, it's kicking over. So all I've got is I think that's a piece of 1.5 inch PVC pipe or conduit. I've got pounded in the ground. I'm just using that as a fish holder. Just had some stink bait on there, and it is right against the shore over there. So the bad thing is when you catfish is there's another creature that you can catch besides catfish, and I'm gonna guess that I got a turtle instead. So let's see what I got here. Hey. Oh yeah, look at that. There goes a snake. I'll tell you what, it's a big turtle. Got a big turtle. He's definitely not one. He's trying to dig in. Does not want to be caught. Definitely. See if I can get him to move over here closer to the camera. He's definitely not wanting to be taken out of the water, that's for sure. So, let me tell you guys a little story. I recently found out that these snapping turtles, if that's what this is, snapping turtles will kill ducks. And I didn't think that was true necessarily, so I Googled it. I did find videos of snapping turtles eating a duck, or pulling one under the water to drown it, basically. So that's what they would do, is they'd pull a duck under the water to oh, and I lost him. So they would pull, and he is gone. You see the little mud trail as he goes. He's actually pretty quick when he gets under the water. So really a snapping turtle can kill a duck. I told my wife that. She found it hard to believe also. So like 2 days ago, my wife she looked out the window and a duck was just flopping around, and she went out there, and it was a snapping turtle trying to drag one of our Peking ducks under the water, right there on the shoreline, just on the edge of the shore. And that our Peking ducks are full size. I mean, they're good size. And so my wife ended up making a real loud noise and basically hoping that the turtle would let go. Not sure if that helped or not, but anyway, the duck got loose and got away from the turtle. So I guess if I caught a turtle today, that wouldn't be a bad thing, because apparently these turtles are actually another predator that could be killing our ducks. The ducks actually, since we lost the one duck earlier this year, our ducks actually don't normally go on the pond very much. They actually seem to be scared of the pond. So the more I kind of found out about this, it kind of leads me to believe that maybe it was a turtle that got one of our ducks. So what they do is they pretty much just reach up and grab their legs. If your duck's just out there sitting in the water, they'll come up, they'll grab their legs and they try to pull them under and then drown them, and then they can kind of eat them at their leisure. And that was a pretty good sized turtle right there. It was probably a good foot long or more. The shell, just the shell of that turtle, that was a good sized turtle. And we have a few of those in this pond, so it is legal to fish for snapping turtle. You can fish them out, you can cook them and everything. That is legal, I think, as long as you have a fishing license. So even though I was trying to see if I could catch some of the catfish that I had put in here, I ended up catching a snapping turtle. I think if I catch some more, that'll be interesting, because I've never tried to cook a snapping turtle before. But I don't think it's a bad thing to get them out of the pond when they're that big and they can kill some of our ducks. So anyway, too bad I didn't get that out of the, too bad the line broke. That actually was pretty cool looking big snapping turtle. So when the line broke, I did lose the hook, and it was in the turtle's mouth. So the hook will eventually kind of rust, it'll dissolve, and eventually you know, fall out of the turtle's mouth eventually. It may take several months, but the hook will eventually go away. They're kind of designed that way. I guess I'll just go ahead and put another hook on here, get some more stink bait out, see if I can cast this back in the water. So I put some catfish in here a couple years ago, and I've only caught 2 catfish since then. And it's been a year or more since I've caught the catfish. So I'm really curious if I can catch one and see how big they were, because the last time I caught one of the catfish, it was probably a good 14 or 16 inches long, so they ought to be pretty good sized catfish by now. So we'll go ahead and put this hook back on and see if we can still catch a catfish today. Well, hopefully my stink bait didn't fall off. Threw a couple extra pieces out there to help bring in some catfish, hopefully. So just wait and see what happens. While I'm waiting to see if I catch a catfish, I said that these bluegill, you know, when they're over the spawning bed, that they pretty much will strike at anything. So I'm gonna see if I can get them to just bite a bare hook. So what I got a bobber here, and then I've just got my little swivel deal with a hook, just a bare, this is a number 4, it's a pretty small hook, just a bare hook. So I'm just going to cast this out over these beds and just slowly drag that hook across there and see if I can actually get one of these bluegill to strike at it. So far I am not getting them to bite at it. I think the bobber is making too much of a ripple. I don't think there's enough weight with this hook though. See if I can cast just a hook. That'll be kind of difficult. Yep, got one. Look at that. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't even a bluegill. Look at that. I got a little bass struck just at my hook. Maybe the bass are spawning as well. That's crazy. So yeah, I'm surprised that I was actually able to cast that without any weight on there. But you can see, just a bare hook, I ended up catching this little bass. And this is actually bigger than normally what I catch. So maybe the balancing out of the pond, maybe our bass are going to slowly get bigger as well. Oh, there, I got one with just a bare hook. It took me a while. I don't know how many casts that was. But I finally caught a bluegill with just a bare hook. Kind of proving that, you know, they will pretty much strike at anything. Well, this one got him good. Double hooked. But anyway, nice little bluegill. Put him back in the water. There we go. Oh, that is crazy. All right, I don't know what's going on, but that's 2 bass and 1 bluegill so far off of just the bare hook. But I figured I'd have more bluegill. Oh yeah, come here. And okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything just strikes like crazy over a spawning bed. I'm gonna have to assume that the bass are spawning as well. So 3 bass, 1 bluegill, nothing but a bare hook. So if you do actually, if I man, this one went through the bottom of his jaw. Anyway, if you do end up fishing with an actual lure or bait or something like that, you can almost catch fish almost every cast. It's crazy. Obviously the hook is just not quite, you know, as appealing to them. But yeah, if I just had a little lure on there, a little jig, I'd definitely be able to catch them about every cast. And that's what happened. I lost that fish. That's what happens during the spawn. So hopefully on the 4th of July when people come over, maybe they're still spawning. And maybe they'll be able to catch a bunch of fish. It'll make it a lot funner for them. Well, it is supper time now, and I didn't catch anything else on the catfish poles. I didn't catch any catfish today. I didn't catch any more turtles today. So, kind of wondering what happened to those catfish, if I still got them in there. So, I may end up looking into adding some more catfish to this pond. That way I can fish those out and, you know, eat them later, because catfish is definitely good eating. I'm also thinking about adding crappie to this pond, maybe a small amount of crappie to the pond. I know crappie can overtake a pond fairly easily, and you have to kind of fish the pond. But that's one thing I'm considering. I'm thinking about adding crappie to this pond. It is a 3.5 acre pond, so it's a decent enough size that I could add crappie to it. So it doesn't look like I'm eating catfish tonight for supper. So I'm grilling out on the pellet grill. Got a couple burgers on there that I'm going to eat tonight. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.